Welcome to part 4 of Competency 4. In this video, we will work with arithmetic series. Okay, just in part 1 of Competency 4, we will use the arithmetic sequence. However, instead of seeing it as a sequence, we're going to see it as a series. And a series adds up a partial sum of all those numbers. So we choose the first number and an ending number, and we add those up, and we have a sum. Okay, but to find that, we need a formula. So you see here we have S of n, and we have two forms of the formula. Well, which one we use really depends on what we're given. Okay, so we have two examples here, and they use each type of formula. Very similar to what we had prior for the arithmetic sequence. Instead, we have a series, meaning we're adding things up. So things change just a little bit. Number 1, what is the sum of the first 18 terms of the arithmetic sequence 2, 6, 10, 14? Okay, the very first thing we do is make sure that we're in sequence mode. So go to mode, and we are. It's down here where you see function, and I'm going to arrow over. You can arrow either way. I'm going to go to the left and see it's highlighted, SEQ. Make sure that that's highlighted and push enter, and then it should be on. So you push second mode. Now, we need to go Y equals, and I'm going to clear out everything that's in there and start fresh. Okay. Now, we need to use this, one of these uh, formulas, okay? But which one can we use? Well, this is just asking what are the 18 terms? We are given ace of 1, and we can come up with a common difference. So we need the first one, the longer one. Okay, let me write that down for us. That is n over 2. I'm going to put a bracket, then 2 times ace of 1 plus d, parentheses, n minus 1, and then close your bracket. Okay, so let's go to our calculator and say alpha y equals, we need number 1. And we have our n go down 2. If you haven't watched other videos with me and you haven't seen this before, when we put this in sequence mode, our x became an n. And if you look there at the button, the different ones that you might be able to have, well, you can have x, but you can also have n. Okay, so now we have parentheses, and we say 2 times our first value is 2, then plus, and D, here I'll write this down. This is our A1. Ace of 1 equals 2. And D equals 6 minus the 2, which equals 4. So D equals 4. So then we type in 4 parentheses and minus 1 close. Okay, and you need another parentheses to close again. Okay, take a look at what we have. Now, this will work according to order of operations. Now, we need to put our window starting at 18. So go second window and type in 18. I like to push enter, but look, our table is going up in halves. We don't want it to do that. We want it to go in steps of 1. Now go second graph. And there you go, 648, which is option C. Very nice. All right, let's look at number 2. Number 2, what is the sum of the first 81 terms of the arithmetic sequence, a half, 3/4, 1, and 5/4? Okay. Now, we use the first formula, the little bit longer one, because we have a sub 1 equaling a half, and our common difference equals 3/4 minus 1 over 2. Now, I'm not going to solve that. I'm going to use that as is. I mean, why not? Why make life harder than it has to be? So what am I going to type in my calculator? I'm not going to write it down. I'm going to go ahead over here and just type it in. Okay, because we already have the n over 2. We need 2 times our a sub 1, which is a half. So I am going to say, notice I've got it cursored. I'm going to go ahead and say alpha y equals, which gives me the number 1 I want. Now I'm going to say 1, 2, typing it in. Notice my 2 still there. Now I'm going to push delete. I do it that way so my formula keeps its form. You kind of have to play with this. Now you could clear it all out and start over. It's totally your choice. Now, this is where I'm going to start typing over stuff. I am going to enter D just like this, okay? Parentheses and everything. So open parentheses, alpha y equals, enter, then 3, arrow down, 4, arrow over. I need minus. Now I need a fraction, so that's alpha equals, enter for number 1. Then 1, arrow down to 2, arrow all the way over, close your parentheses. Now open your parentheses and say n minus 1, close our parentheses, close it again. The reason I close it a second time, see how the parentheses turns into a bracket, okay? Now, double check what I've entered. Now I'm going to write it out. This is what I should have entered. I should have n over the 2 times 2 times my a sub 1 plus my d, and then parentheses n minus 1. Close my parentheses, close my bracket. And yes, I actually have that. It's a little bit more eyeball twisting than the calculator, but it does satisfy. And notice how long it is. You can arrow over. See over there where we have an arrow at the beginning? That just means, hey, come over here and check me. Well, it's checked. And if you did notice on number 1, we did not put a value in right here for use of 1. Well, we don't really need it. We don't need to know it, but we do need to change our window. So go second window. See, we're on table set. Instead of 18 this time, we need 81. And I like to push enter and wait just a second. And I'll tell you why I do that. Kind of let the calculator catch up, because think about it. It has to calculate and sum up 81 terms. Well, let's see what happens. On my handheld calculator, I had to wait a second. Okay, so let's go second graph. And we're waiting a second. I could talk about a lot of things while we're waiting. Sometimes, if you turn off your calculator and then turn it back on, it'll pop on. As you noticed while I was talking, it did pop on for us. But you take a look at what 81 is, and you take a look over here, and you don't see the option. Actually, we do. Let's go back to our window and say second window. And notice how things are divided by 2. So go over here. Instead of steps of 2, let's say steps of a half. You can put in 0.5, or you can put in 1 divided by 2. It doesn't care here because it pops it to 0.5 anyway. So now let's go second graph, and we're waiting a second. Okay, and there it is. We did see it. We had it. That was A. 850 and the half, okay? So that verifies A. Let's go to number 3. And as you can see, it takes a little bit of time to process these. The larger the numbers, the more lengthy the sequence, the complicated the sequence, the longer it's going to take. Okay, so let's back out of that. Read number 3. What is the sum of the first 32 terms of the arithmetic sequence sequence in which ace of 1 is negative 6.4 and ace of 32 equals 43.8. Okay, let's do this. Uh-oh. We're going to do it, but we do not have a D. What does this mean? This means we're going to use n over 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. Well, we have those. This is the a sub n. There's your a sub 1. And n equals 32. Okay? So we have all three things we need. All right, so y equals, we're going to go over here, and I'm just going to clear this out. Let's just clear it all out. There we go. Just start fresh. Okay, alpha y equals, number 1 is what we want, so let's put that in. N over 2. Notice I put an N and then I arrowed down. Now let's go over, open parentheses, and we need a sub 1, which is negative 6.4, and then plus, and a sub n is our a sub 32, which is 43.8. Close that parentheses. Okay. Now notice I put in n instead of the 32 because we're going to use our window. Okay. So let's set our window to second window and 32. Okay. And it says okay, let's see what happens. Alpha graph. There you go. It is number C. Now, there are other ways to solve this, but since we're in sequence mode and we have this nice way to enter this, I think that was probably the best and fastest way, considering what we have. Okay. All right. So let's go to number 4. If the sum of the 30th term of the arithmetic sequence is 360 and ace of 30, that should say 30, guys. Sorry about that. Ace of 30 equals 40. What is the first term? Now, we will not be able to use our sequence mode and all these little bells and whistles we have. But we do have something that is very handy. Not just this. Not particularly this. We can use our solver. The only glitch is when we use our numeric solver, we can't be in sequence mode. We must be in function mode. So let's push mode, go back to function, highlight it, pop out. We're going to go math, arrow up, push. See, now I have something entered, but it's not what we want. Okay, so let's see, what do we want before I clear things out? Well, this is what we have. We have S of n equals n over 2. And we don't know what ace of 1 is, but we do know that it's added to 40. But wait a second. We know more than that. Actually, let me just write the whole thing generally, and then I'll start substituting. Ace of n. Okay, so S of n, and that's an equals 360, and that's equal to 30 over 2, because n equals 30, because it asks for 30 terms. Then we do not have ace of 1, but we do have ace of n, which is 40. Okay? Now, if we say that this is going to be our x, remember, when you get it down to one variable, that's when you know you can use numeric solver. So now let's clear everything out. Okay? So on the left-hand side we had 630. Let's enter, clear out what we have. And even though we know 30 divided by 2 is 15, I'm going to go ahead and just type in everything exactly the way you see it. Okay, 30, arrow down to 2, and then arrow over, parentheses open. Now we need to say X, okay? Then plus the 40, close the parentheses. Remember, we have to push graph twice because the first time it should be an old answer. Okay, push it once. See, we're not done because we don't have this bottom part, and that's an old answer. Push graph again. Now we have the correct answer, and that is option C. So ace of 1 equal 2. Okay. All right, let's look at number 5. Given the arithmetic sequence, ace of n equals 11 in parentheses and minus 1 plus 2, what is the sum of the 10th to the 20th term? Okay, we will have to do this a little differently. Okay, now we could do this in the function form, but let's not because it's a sequence using n. Let me show you what we can do. Okay. All right, let's go to mode, go down to function, arrow to the left, highlight, go second, and mode. There we go. Now we're going to actually what we're going to want to do is populate this and push the y equals, and we're in that mode. I'm going to go over and clear it all out. But I'm going to show you how we're going to do this by just populating this and then putting it in a summation, okay? So we're going to need to say 11 parentheses n minus 1 close parentheses plus 2, and I'm just going to press enter so I see it's there, okay? Now we're putting that in the function u, okay? That's what I need you to remember. Now let's go to alpha and window, and notice if we want a summation of terms, that's number 2. Oh no, we needed to back out. All right, clear all that. Go second mode, then alpha window, lesson learned. If that happens, now you know what to do. But notice we still have a good uh, uh, function. We still have our ace of n entered, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, now push number 2. Well, we're highlighted on 2. Go enter. This is what we needed. So what do we have? We really have an n equal to, where are we starting? We are starting at 10 and ending at 20. So here where it says n equals, that's the beginning. So you push 10. Then you arrow up and you're saying, could you end here? So we want to end at 20. Now we go over. You could type all this in, but let's say it's really lengthy and crazy, okay? And you're going to use it a couple more times. Let's say there were 2 or 3 problems related to the same function. What do? I push alpha, trace. Oh, and look, it says, hey, would you like a number 1 out of your y vars, or y variables? Absolutely, that's what I want. So you push that, push it again. That's the value you want, and that would be option A. I like that, especially when I have you know how it is. They say, use this expression or use this function or use this scenario for numbers 8 through 15, and then you're typing it in over and over or writing it out over and over. Well, now we don't have to do that. Okay, this is the last question in this particular video. I want to thank everybody for watching. I know I thank you guys all the time. It's just been really great. And I appreciate every minute of your liking, sharing, and you're the best for subscribing. Happy testing.